Good afternoon. Thank you. I'm going to keep the music going a little bit longer. It's Thursday afternoon and I'm coming to you live from New York. It's Mary Amy and this is Signs of Light. I'm excited. Today I have a friend of mine, David Eller, coming live from Nashville, Tennessee. And he will be joining us. As soon as I give him the heads up, he will be calling right in. So I just want to say before we get to that, I have a disclaimer that I'm not a medical professional. I give helpful healing suggestions to inner peace and personal serenity. My holistic modalities include I'm an intuitive wisdom coach, a Reiki master, and an ordained minister. Let me remind you, bright light shines on us. Every thought is very powerful, and we are all part of a whole. Your pain is my pain, and my pain is yours. Karma is a cycle of cause and effect. The sacred knowledge that I impart on you is to connect to a light source, engage with nature, and record your sleeping dreams for the universe to guide you on your ultimate destiny. Okay, before I get into Bigfoot, and that's what we're talking about today with David Eller, I just want to say I have a new follower and I've been listing all the followers right here and I didn't get them on the board, or she, I don't know, but the name is Filthy Pervert will be next on our board. And I'm excited that we do have the followers, and thank you for joining us. Okay, now Bigfoot, that's what we're going to be talking about today with David Eller. I just want to give you a quick heads up before I have him call. Just turning that off. Okay, so who's Bigfoot? Well, Bigfoot is a phenomenon known in folklore, the legend of Sasquatch, known by many names depending on the language, and more than 60 terms of Sasquatch in Indian tribes across North America. Sasquatch means wild man. The elusive species known as Bigfoot is regarded with great respect as a special type of being by the Native Americans. He or she, we don't know the gender, is sort of a supernatural or spiritual being to the Native Americans, and he's sacred, she's sacred. It's good luck to see him, and it's good luck for him to touch you, his energy to touch you. Now, since the 1960s to the present time, there's been over 3,500 documented, counted accounts within Canada, the US, and southern Alaska. Let me bring up the most well-known photo, which is what I thought I was holding up. Now, Bigfoot, Bigfoot walks upright on 2 feet like humans, biped. He's covered with black or dark brown or reddish fur, and usually the fur on the head is longer than the fur on the body. The eyes are black with no whites, known as solid, elusive, nocturnal, omnivore, reaching between 8 and 10 feet, possibly 6 to 7, so we'll say 6 to 10 feet in size, 5 to 800 pounds, ape-like, sometimes a foul smell, startled reactions, and glides as it walks. Now this is from the most famous footage in Bluff Creek, California, in 1967. This famous footage was taken by Roger Patterson and Robert Gimlin, and is credible and never debunked. So let's give him the heads up that he can call, because we'd love to hear from David Eller. Oh, let me tell you who David Eller is. This is David Eller. Now, David Eller is an investigator from Tennessee, and he's discovered stick structures in Nashville. A Bigfoot stick structure are strange configurations made from trees and tree branches, often found deep in the woods, but not always, that defy explanation and could not have been created by humans or natural beings. Some can be large and elaborate, and others are smaller. So let's have David call and find out what he's discovered, because he's constantly discovering these stick structures. And you can give me questions if you have them. Oh, hi, Master F Slave, my favorite streamer. Hi. So Master LF Slave, we have a Bigfoot investigator joining us. So I'm just going to type that in here so everyone who comes on can see. Oh, I spelled it wrong. Bah! Best. Okay, here we go. Okay, now I feel better. Now I spelled that wrong. That's okay. Everyone knows what I'm talking about. It's Bigfoot. We'll text you when I need you to call. Okay, so he'll call. He's very reliable. I met David. He found me on the internet. As soon as he calls, I'll pull it up. He found me on the internet, and he said that he was looking into the paranormal, and he had this investigative team that would look into really strange supernatural events. And he sent me this message in December. I didn't see it because it went into my spam for months. Somehow I found it, and I reached out to him, and then we had a conversation, and I had him on the show. He was my very first guest, I want to say, and that was 27 episodes ago. You know what? Let me try him and see if he'll pick up. Hope he didn't go away. I want to hear from him. Oh no. Is he gone? David Eller, where are you?
Hello?
David, it's Mary.
Hey, how are you?
Good. Okay, so I have you on speaker right now, so everyone can hear you. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good, pretty good. It's a beautiful day in Nashville.
Oh, nice. So I was just kind of filling everybody in about Bigfoot, anyone who doesn't have any knowledge about Bigfoot, and also stick structures. And so I have photos, and I have a photo of you. I also have one over here if everyone can see David. So David, can you start from the beginning for those of the viewers who don't know exactly what you've been up to? If you can kind of give us the history behind your Bigfoot stick structure discoveries.
Yeah, sure. This all started in February, so it's still a pretty new story. And I've just always been one to explore the unknown, and Bigfoot was one of those things that I started when I was a kid, and it's just gotten worse and worse. I wanted to find out what these creatures are, and the more I find out, the less I know. It's one of those kind of deals. But one of my friends who lives in an area close to a park would go out there and take his walks, and he would send me pictures, and I would say, man, this really looks squatchy. This really looks, if there's nothing there, I'm going to be surprised. And he said, well, come on out and check it out. So I did. One Saturday afternoon, I went out and spent all afternoon looking in this one area. Mm-hmm. And I didn't find anything, but on leaving, I discovered a map that showed a natural area. And I thought, if there's anything here, mm-hmm. it's going to be right there. Mm-hmm. So the next day, I went, and I wasn't there very long before mm-hmm. I began to find strangeness. And the first thing I discovered was this, what I call the pagoda. And this is 20 trees, 20 living trees that have been bent toward the center, and the limbs on the very tops of these trees have been braided together so that they will make this domed structure. Mm-hmm. The circle that it makes is 20 feet across, and it's 8.5 feet tall in the mm-hmm. center. Mm-hmm. So I began to research this. I found a marker next to it, which is a big white stone set between two saplings, and the saplings are twisted and braided at the top to keep this from this stone from coming out. So I began to research this particular site, and the more I've researched it, of course I went in thinking, well, this might be a scout project, or this might be a drunken college stunt, so I wanted to make sure that it was neither. I looked all over this thing. There's no strings holding this thing together. There's no twist ties, no wire. These are all braided structures, beautiful long braids. All of these branches, like the big trees, are bent over to almost touch the ground, but they're touching smaller trees on the other side, and then all the branches are braided. So it is an amazing structure.
And so, David, you're basically sharing with us that you don't believe there's another explanation for these 20 trees put together and braided together, and I have photos I'm sharing with everyone who's watching. There's no other explanation because of the location and how it's put together than Bigfoot and the size. Can you share with us how high up off the ground this is, that a human would need ladders for this?
Well, yeah. I mean, some of the big trees are probably 20 feet tall. So you have to have leverage. You're not going to be able just to push these over from the ground. You're going to have to get on ladders to get higher up so that you can bend these things over. And just from looking, now you say there's no other explanation. I don't know. I'm saying no, but that doesn't mean I know everything. I can't believe that humans did this because of the strength and the finger strength that would be needed to braid some of these branches together. And I'm not talking huge branches, but I'm talking about, these are really thick. This isn't like yarn we're talking about. These are trees. These are branches and twigs from trees, and something with strong fingers did this. So, like I say, in the center of this first one, because I've discovered two more, and I don't know if I've talked to your audience since.
No, it's so interesting because we communicated and had dialogue, and literally within, I believe it was either we caught discussions right before or right after you found the first one, and then we've stayed in touch because it was it was months ago. I think it was in May maybe, and it was around I think it was near Mother's Day, and you told us about the first one, and then you were talking about, you were in touch with some different investigators or networks or somebody, and then you discovered two more, and you went and you found that there was like were they markings for something else? Or now, did you leave any kind of gifts? Because I know when you leave apples or you leave some kind of food, then they return it with something else, or did you do any of that?
Yes. I began with apples, and for the first couple of weeks they weren't touched. And of course I put these apples, I've created a new apple delivery system that I'm able to throw these things up into branches and they will hang there. And I keep them up high so that the deer can't get to them, although I've never seen deer out there, which is another clue. I've seen a few tracks, but I have never seen a deer there. Now, this is a state park area, and there are no deer. Well, that tells me that they've pretty much devastated the area because they will go after deer. But I mean, that's a whole other thing. But yes, the apples, I've baited with those, and they have started taking those. I have placed a cairn outside of one of the glades, and it will continually be knocked down, or the little stones that I put on top will be taken or moved. I worked with shells to set on top of these little cairns. They were always moved. So there is action here. And I have been working with sound, various recordings. And the first time I went out, I didn't think that there was any success. I played all the music, played all the sounds, and nothing happened. I was expecting like a rock being thrown at me or something, but nothing happened. While I was there playing music, there was this big tall plant that I paid a lot of attention to, and I was taking pictures of it, and I was examining it and everything. When I came back after I had played the sounds, that plant had been pulled up by its roots and laid over, like in a way of saying, yeah, we watched you with this plant. And any hikers or anyone out there, they know that the park does not allow you to destroy stuff. So I don't believe that this was a hiker. I don't believe a deer would have done this. A deer would have just kind of moved it over. But this was pulled physically out of the ground. You could still see the hole where the roots were, and it was just laid over about 2 feet off the trail. But during this whole time, since February, I found a total of 14 structures, markers, and tree manipulations. I have found the classic seesaw, where you have a huge big tree with a V in it, and another log placed in the V, balanced perfectly. You can touch it on one side, and it will move like a seesaw. I have found tree manipulations where branches way above my head, I mean like 10 feet up, 10 feet tall or more, these branches are coming out of the tree in one direction. They have been manipulated by placing them in front of other trees until they are almost going the exact opposite direction, which implies not only strength but height.
David, have you seen any? Okay, but I just, there's so much information you're sharing with us. When you're saying there's markers, are you finding that, are there symbols? Do you think some of these stick structures are like a language? Are they saying this is where to notify other Bigfoot? Is this for, are they aware that you're visiting? Because I know that when they're in the vicinity of sightings and encounters, they are very much aware, of anyone who's kind of inhabiting their space.
Yes. I believe that, of course, I don't know the Bigfoot language. That's part of why I am there researching. But I believe these markers, and I have found 3 at the first pagoda. I have found 4 at the third pagoda. And I believe these are visual, this is a visual language that Bigfoot can recognize, and I am trying to recognize. I'm trying to learn how to read these signs, and I was somewhat successful just a few weeks ago. But on the second pagoda, I had gone out to investigate the first one, and do my thing, apples, measuring, whatever. And I went down a part of a trail that I had been down many times, and I looked over, and there's one area to the left that I had looked down. I've even walked through it many times. Well, I was on this part of the trail, and there is a tree down, which I believe is a trail break. They will do this kind of thing to say, don't go down here. This is ours. So I looked at this trail break, and I thought, okay, what would this be saying to anyone? And the way that it was positioned kind of made you look to the left. And so I looked to the left of this area that I had been through. Here was another pagoda. So this was a recent pagoda built within 10 days of the last time I was there.
Okay, so I just want to remind everybody who's listening that a pagoda, David's saying a pagoda is this structure that has almost like a half circle overhang, and then the branches are weaved together, and it's from 20 different trees, the branches. So, and it's up high enough that a human probably couldn't do it, because how far into the woods forest are you traveling to get to this location?
The second pagoda is not that far. I mean, it's just all of these things, oddly enough, are within 25 to 30 feet off of the main trail.
Okay.
And I think I've discovered why. I think after finding what I call a Bigfoot trail that goes into the forest, and it's 25 feet off the main trail, I think they sit 20 to 30 feet off the trail and watch people on the trail. Because I was back in the woods on this, what I call the Bigfoot trail. You can see plainly anybody that comes up on that regular trail. they couldn't see you. You could hide an entire army on the Bigfoot trail, and you would never see them. But they could see every move you make. So I truly believe the whole time I've been there, I've been watched, and partly it was through the use of that Bigfoot trail.
Do you sense them when you're there? Do you sense that you're being watched?
I don't have a sense of being watched. I sense just a sense of calm. It is a very strange feeling. I've never been afraid out there, no matter what time I go like 11 o'clock at night, and I see what's going on at night.
What?
And
in the pitch black? Is it pitch black?
It is so dark. You can't
That's
see anything.
Insane.
But I sit and I listen. I make my whoops. I see if there's any comments made.
Can you show us what you're talking about? Now, I would just like to share that it's known that Bigfoot mimic. So they'll mimic names. They'll make whoops, hollers, all these kinds of loud. They'll do growls. Can you share with us? Everyone brace themselves. What are some of the sounds that you make?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know how loud this will be, but sometimes I'll start out slow and just do a basic, like a given sound, like a that kind of thing. Okay, there's also what's called samurai chatter that Ron Moorhead recorded in the Sierra.
Okay.
And that has a very oriental sound, and it's something like this. So it's a language, and it's very oriental. And if you've never heard the Sierra sound, look them up because they're fascinating. Then you have the basic Bigfoot call, which let me move the phone away from me. So it's something like this. So you do this, and you don't know what you're saying. No one knows what you're saying. And like I always say, I may be cussing them out.
How do you even know how to do that last sound? How do you know how to do any of these Bigfoot sounds? Can you do the last one more time? Because that sounds like it's a very confusing sound because you can't place what that is. Can you do that one more time for us, please?
The loud one, the last one?
The last one, yes.
The last one? Okay, hang on, here we go.
Wow.
It's variations of tone.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you want to be quiet. Sometimes you want to be loud. Sometimes you get a callback. I have never gotten a callback at this site. I have gotten callbacks in California. I've gotten return wood knocks in Canada. At this site, I've gotten 2 crash responses.
Okay, so we just got we just have a first question.
Go for it.
Okay, so this is K Day Floyd. Hi. And K Day Floyd says, interesting greetings to today's guest. And he asks, or she asks, I'm not really ever sure because it's just by, a little username. How is David not afraid? Too adventurous? So how are you not afraid, David?
Oh, gosh, I've always been like this since I was a kid. I figure there's nothing there at night that isn't there during the day. And if you read and you research, you will find there are very few instances where a Bigfoot creature has attacked or killed a human. Mostly those occur when the humans have interacted in a bad way with the Bigfoot, either shooting at them, destroying something they've created. That's when the Bigfoot will attack. You do have stories where these things will try to scare the crap out of you to get you out of their area, and they will chase you, they will parallel you when you're on a trail, but they won't touch you. So with that knowledge, I go out believing that I will be fine.
I've never, I have obviously a lot less knowledge and knowing about Bigfoot, but I haven't heard about I have not spoken to an expert or investigator or anyone who has these encounters to say to me that they were ever chased. I've heard stories. You've heard stories of being of people being chased by Bigfoot?
Oh yeah, sometimes when investigators are out, they will start getting a lot of activity. Rocks being thrown, sticks being thrown, growls, grunts, whatever, and they believe that this is very much like a guerrilla aggression response, where a gorilla will beat its chest and come running at you, but it rarely gets to you. It will veer off before it touches you. And that's one reason I believe that these are North American apes. Some of them, anyway. That's the way I investigate that these are North American apes, because they do mimic ape behavior. And this aggression, feigned aggression that they show when sometimes investigators are out there, the investigator really gets frightened. And part of that is due to the subsonic frequencies, which I think we talked about on the last program.
Can you share what, so for those of anyone who didn't see our last stream,
sure.
Can you share what the sounds, and you're saying a sense of calm, right?
Right. I always feel a sense of calm. So I don't believe that these creatures have sent out any subsonic frequencies. Subsonic frequencies have been found to be a part of Bigfoot sightings. It's why people immediately get afraid. That happened to me in Canada when I was doing wood knocks, and I was doing wood knocks all the way up this hill, and then suddenly, just not far in front of me, I got a wood knock back, but a much deeper wood knock. I wasn't afraid at all, but suddenly I was petrified, and I began to back down the hill. This, I believe, was a result of subsonic frequencies. These frequencies are produced by other animals, especially tigers. That's why tigers can walk right up on their prey sometimes, because they give what basically is a purr, but it's a super deep purr that humans can't hear. Elephants communicate miles by using this sort of subsonic frequency. Whales can use it and communicate halfway around the world. So it's not that it's part of the kingdom. Scientists know about this. So subsonic frequencies can rattle your eyeballs in your skull. They can vibrate your optic nerve. They can produce retching and vomiting. They can produce a fight or flight response. They can make you do things that you would not normally do. And I believe that's what happened to me in Canada. And I had to shake it off. I had to say to myself out loud, this is why you're here. Stop backing down the hill and get in there and look. Well, by the time I got back up the hill, there was nothing there. But I think they hit me with subsonic frequencies. That also happened to my dad when he was out hunting, and he heard a whistle so loud that he said it scared. He'd never been so afraid in his life. I believe the whistle was a communication to another creature, and then they began to send out these subsonic frequencies, and he said, I will never hunt there again. Well, my dad was raised in the woods. He was a big woodsman, and he hunted all through the night. He stayed out all night hunting. But
so David,
he would not go back to that area.
David, you're really driven, and I'm wondering exactly what is your purpose. So why do you feel that you're so driven and you have such a strong intention of having these Bigfoot encounters and finding these what do you call them, these stick structures? You call them a pagonia?
Yeah,
pagodas. What is driving you to do this?
The unknown. I have lived my life in search of the unknown. And for these creatures to be out there now, and we know they're out there. There's been too many sightings throughout history. Native Americans were seeing these things long before the white man ever got here. They already had their stories and their beliefs. And then the white man came along and he began to see them. They're out there. We have evidences of footprints that Jeff Meldrum has looked at and says they can't be faked. Part of that is because of the metatarsal break. He said there's no way that someone could fake a metatarsal break. And that is where certain types of feet will break in an area not like human. Bears have a metatarsal break, and Bigfoot has a metatarsal break. If they didn't have that, which allowed their foot to flex, they would be bouncing as they walked, because their foot, they would have to, when they took their stride, they would go all the way up on their toes, so they would be bouncing up and down as they walked. Well, they don't. They almost glide. Their walk is so fluid that they call it gliding. Part of that is because of this metatarsal break. If they're out there, science won't admit that they're there.
Why? Why do you think that is?
They're not there.
Why do you think that is?
So,
Why do you think that we don't have, like, what they say is actual evidence or proof? I know we have the footprints, the casts of footprints, and like this stick structure, but why is this kind of hidden? In fact, I've spoken to other experts, and they say that they see a video and then it vanishes not much later from the internet or online. Why do you think?
Right.
What do you think that is? Do you think that the government knows? Do you think that they're protecting the Bigfoot? What is this?
Ultimately, I don't know why they're doing this. In the beginning, in science, you have to have a dead body, or at least a living body that you can destroy.
Right.
For them to admit anything. DNA won't do it. You know, you could get a blood sample of something, but there's no Bigfoot file in the DNA system. So there's nothing to compare it to. So you may have the perfect DNA sample, but there's nothing to compare it to in the file. So scientists will say, we'll get that out of here. It means nothing. I mean, we can tell you what it's not, but we can't tell you what it is because we don't have a sample of Bigfoot DNA. So unless they have a body that they can examine and cut up and destroy, then they won't admit anything. Today, I don't know what the reasoning is. There are those stories where videos disappear. There are stories about how the Army does know about these creatures. And I can only investigate. I only have so much time and energy to investigate, and I investigate as a North American ape. Well, there seems to be other things going on, and one of these things is the ability to phase out, to disappear. There are stories of you can hear a Bigfoot walking in front of you, and you can't see a thing. So there are some that believe that the Army is working on whatever these creatures can do with their minds. Now,
Like telepathy? You mean telepathy?
Get into this, I'm sorry?
You mean telepathy?
It's a way of disappearing. It's a way of cloaking itself.
Oh.
That's why you will have a sighting, and then suddenly you have no sightings. Well, you know that creature is there, and it's moving around, but no one else can see it. So supposedly, but like I say, I have to investigate that this creature is an earthly creature, a North American ape. But there are others who say that's not what it is. And I do understand that, because if you look at the footprints, you have 3-toed prints, 4-toed prints, and 5-toed prints. Well, like I was saying, scientists doesn't even admit one type, much less 3 types. So what are we dealing with here? Are we talking variants of one type, or are we actually talking about 3 separate types of creatures? And again, scientists won't admit that they're there. There is the thought that these creatures are guinea pigs placed here by an otherworldly something, and they are testing our atmosphere. That's why you have many sightings connected to UFO sightings. Again, I don't have the energy to investigate that. I have to concentrate on North American apes. If I find that these other aspects are involved in these North American apes, then I will be on it. But right now, I'm just trying to figure out the language and what these things are that are out there watching me as I'm looking at what they've created. And I think they have a need to create. I think they're artists, because when you look at these structures, they're not rough, or they're really beautiful structures. And I think they would stand up in any modern art museum as someone interpreting its surroundings by using its surroundings. And there's just a lot going on, and I don't believe science has enough energy to investigate all of the areas. Kind of like me. I mean, I have to concentrate on one area before I can go to another. But as long as that area has not been proven false, then that needs to stay on the table. When you prove something false, then you can get rid of it and say, okay, that was a lost leader. I can get rid of that. So far, nothing about Bigfoot has been found to be false. You have stories by policemen and firemen and people who are trained observers telling you what they've seen. And yet scientists will say, well, that doesn't mean anything. It's just beyond me that, well, I'll tell you the one story. Once I found this first pagoda, I got with a very well-known researcher. And he said, there's nothing here that's not natural. And I said, you're not looking at these pictures. You're not looking at what I'm showing you. I don't see anything that couldn't be produced by nature. Well, then I got a ranger involved, and she said, no, this does not occur in nature. There is nothing here that's natural. This has been created by who or by what, I can't tell you, but no, this is not natural. So then he turns around and says, well, I want to talk to her. Okay, so she's an expert in forestry, in forest dynamics, in tree biology. And she's saying, as an expert, this is not natural. This does not occur in nature. And yet he wants to talk to her as though he is going to change her mind. That's where we are. That's that Bigfoot bias that I mentioned before on our first discussion. There's a huge group of individuals who have set themselves up as the be-all and end-all. And unless I see what you're talking about, I'm not going to acknowledge it. It doesn't matter how great the evidence is, I didn't find it, so I don't accept it. And I'm finding it more and more. There are those people, especially the ones you see on TV all the time, they have their own agenda. And they have very strangely strict criteria that they judge other people's finds by. And I'm done with it. I'm doing my thing. I know what I've got. I've got other people saying, you found the holy grail of Bigfoot sites. 14 structures, markers, and manipulations is unheard of. And I've found it, and I want to research it and protect it as much as I can. And that's why I'm not telling anybody where it is. Only certain few people have I taken there. Every time I take somebody, they look at me like, what the heck is going on here?
David,
it's an amazing site.
David, have you made it to any? I want to say that you told me that you were either going to be a speaker at a convention, a Bigfoot convention, or you were going to one. Did you go to one?
Yeah, I've been to the one in Nebraska.
Tell us about the Bigfoot. Tell us about what you had what your experience was.
It was very good. It's good to be with a group of people who understand what's going on and who want to be educated further. And you don't have to couch your language. You don't have to be ashamed of anything you're saying because everyone there is open to the possibility. And since then, the lady who put the celebration on, Harriet McFeely, who has a museum in Nebraska, Hastings, Nebraska, she convinced me to write a book. So I am currently working on a book, and I'm speaking at the Upper Cumberland Bigfoot Convention in October. I will be speaking at, I believe I'll be speaking at Nebraska Bigfoot. There's a couple others that I hope to be involved in, but yeah, I want to talk about this, and I want to show people what I have. And number one, because I've got a book to publish, I've got to get some money to publish this book. But secondly, this is the most unusual structure most people I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
Most people are familiar with the dead wood that's stacked against trees and the seesaws and the A's and the X's and all the geometric patterns. That's
Mm-hmm.
what people think of when you talk about Bigfoot structures. Well, this is totally unique. This is,
Mm-hmm.
you rarely see this kind of a thing, and that's why it has gotten many people in the Bigfoot community excited, because we've got multiples now.
Mm-hmm.
The third one I found, I called the Longhouse. It is 30 feet across, 9.5 feet in the center, and it's basically 2 rooms. It is one large pagoda or igloo-like structure,
Mm-hmm.
and then a second one attached to one side.
Mm-hmm.
And on that one, I found 4 markers.
Mm-hmm.
I've never found a marker that wasn't connected to a pagoda. I have found the one pagoda that had no markers. But these markers seem to be essential for whoever's looking to understand what they're looking at. And again, the more I learn, the less I know.
Mm-hmm.
It's what are they saying? What are they doing? But again, there's an artistry here. I believe it's more than just trying to give signals to other creatures. I think that they have a need to create, because these aren't livable structures. They're not weatherproof. There's lots of gaps between the trees. It's not going to keep you from getting rained on or snowed on or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I think there's something else going on. It's a beauty thing. Or maybe it's a nervous energy. But when you see these braids, there's one of these braids, I think I sent you a picture of it. It's 36 inches long and 2 inches thick in the center. That took a lot of work and a lot of manual dexterity. And you can see where these 2 branches have been pulled tight to the center. I think there's at least 2 of these creatures working on these. And on the first pagoda, I theorize it's probably 3. You had one pulling the backbone tree down. You had another one holding the other tree up that it's connected to, and then you probably have a third actually doing the braiding. So this could be a family. This could be a family function. This could be a Sunday outing. Who knows? I just don't know. Like I say, the more I find out, the less I know. But it's a fascinating journey, and I love that you have me on the show so I can tell people about it. And you have my information. If after the show anybody has questions, just send them on to me, and I'll do the best I can in answering them.
Sure.
Or have me on again.
Of course I'll have you on again, because I like to hear what where your journey has taken you. And so I just, I'm so curious about what you mentioned, and I've heard this before, but you actually articulated it. You're hypothetically saying that possibly, I'm saying possibly, allegedly, every single possible word, that they're vanishing, or they have some kind of cloak of invisibility, or they're going into a portal and disappearing and coming back like UFOs have. Is that what you're saying?
Right. Well, I'm saying that they disappear in front of you. How
disappear
they
in front of
it,
you.
You don't know. Now, I'm not saying every time.
Yeah.
But some of them have been sighted, and they say it disappeared right in front of my eyes. There was one Indian gentleman that I heard talking. He said it squatted down on the beach and completely disappeared. Whether they're going into a portal or whether they're manipulating your vision.
Time and space.
Subsonic frequencies can do this. Like I said, they can rattle your optic nerve and make you see things that aren't there, and can also keep you from seeing things that are right in front of you. So who knows what's going on? I want to find out. That's part of what I'm doing here. And when the crash responses happened, they were either right in front of me or just where I had been.
What do you mean crash? What do you mean crash? What crash are you referring to?
Crash responses are like the guerrilla aggression displays. These Bigfoot will push down a tree or tear a limb off, just anything to make a big noise and let you know that they're there. I don't think they wanted to frighten us. The first time it happened was when I took my nephew in with me. and he was looking at one of the actually seesaw. He was looking at the seesaw. Just right in front of us was this crash. I've been in the woods a lot in my life. I grew up in the woods. I continue to be in the woods. I have never had a tree or a branch fall down anywhere around me. Now, way off in the woods, yeah, sure. But right in front of me or in my immediate vicinity, it's never happened. But now twice while I've been out there, it's happened. So I don't believe in coincidence. I stopped being a believer in coincidence a long time ago. I think things happen exactly the way they're supposed to happen, and coincidence can be erased from the dictionary. I think.
So you're saying you think that, are they trying to dismiss you and basically want you to leave? Is that why they're, is this more like an aggressive threat?
No, I think this is their way of just letting me know they're watching. They're now comfortable with me.
Right.
I just got with a primate expert at the Nashville Zoo, and I asked her, do you think this kind of thing is a way of showing they're comfortable? And she said, it could be. That is probably one good way to look at it. The other is they want you out of the area. But, you know, I've been there for months, and nothing has happened like that. So I just think it's their way of saying, hey, we're here, and we're watching, and we're okay with you being here. And I think that's cool. I just think that's cool. And part of that, I think, is because when I was doing my sound experiments, I really loved the music of John Anderson, the lead singer for Yes. And I knew that I was going to use some of his music from an album called Elias the Sun Dog. It was an album he did in the early 70s. And I just thought, you know, if I was a music artist, I would want to know if someone was utilizing my music to talk to unknown creatures. So I called his management, told him who I was, told him what I was doing, and they freaked out. They said, man, this is great. Oh, yeah, John will love this. So they talked with John Anderson, and he let them know that he's very excited and very humble that I am utilizing his sounds to talk with unknown creatures and keep him informed and involved. So, you know, the dream is next time he's in town, maybe I can get him out to the site. And if he does go to the site, maybe he could noodle a little bit on his guitar. Would that be awesome to have John Anderson out at this site doing his thing? I just think that's, you know, it's just incredible, the possibilities. But the fact that he's excited about this just turns me on. And that was when I got the pulled up plant. I was out there forever playing various sounds.
Yeah.
And I didn't think anything would happen. I didn't see anything happen. No rocks, no twigs being chucked at me. And I thought, okay, well, this particular time it didn't work. But when I went back the next day, there was this plant pulled up. The plant that I was taking pictures of and paying so much attention to. It was like someone saying, okay, you're not paying enough attention to us. Let's get rid of this. Or maybe they were saying, okay, let's just show you that we did listen to your stuff and we kind of didn't. So, I don't know. I'm still trying to learn the language. But when I get, from here on out, I did it the second time. When I get a crash response, I tend to hunker down. My idea is disappear. Maybe they'll come look for you. But the problem is, they're the kings and queens of disappearance. They've lived their entire lives staying out of the public eye. So it doesn't matter how long I stay hunkered down, they're going to beat me. So it's a game. It's just a game. It's like the game at the where they left the dead squirrel. Okay? After they left the dead squirrel, I went back.
Well, okay, so can you, for those of the viewers who missed the last stream, can you explain about the dead squirrel?
Yeah. There's one open area called a glade, and I would put apples out there. One day I go right next to where I had set an apple was a dead squirrel, completely naked. It had been stripped clean of all of its hide. Right next to where I put the apples. So I believe this was a gifting. I gave them an apple. They wanted to give me something to eat. So I didn't take a picture. I should have, because it was the weirdest thing. I probably was just freaked out, and that's why I didn't take a picture. But, or maybe they wanted me to take it with me. Maybe that was the deal. They wanted me to take it. Did I upset them? I don't know. I'm still trying to learn the language. But I was leaving the dead squirrel and went to the first pagoda. Right behind me started a click, 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 click. I recognized the sound as two of the rocks at the glade being smacked together. Bigfoot will do this. They will click rocks together. So I turn around and I head back and stop. And I thought that's pretty weird. So I went back to the pagoda. As soon as I got to the pagoda, click, 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 and it was unceasing until I turned around and headed back, and then they stopped. 4 times I did this, and I realized they're playing a game. This is their idea of fun, messing with humans. I just think that's great. That they have a sense of humor. And I don't know how many other researchers have had that experience, but I've never heard anyone talk about it. So once again, this site keeps coming up with unique experiences. And I don't know how far I will take this, but I've even gotten to the point where I'm thinking of doing some imitative research. What that is like when Native Americans years ago would hunt something, they would dress up like it. They would dress up in deer skins and antlers.
Oh my gosh.
They would dress up like wolves and creep along the ground so they could sneak up to wolves. Also because of the scent, as they were masking their human scent.
So are you going to dress up like a Bigfoot and go in there? Is that what you're saying? Oh my gosh.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh my gosh.
As crazy as that sounds.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
I mean, I don't know of any other researchers that's done this.
Oh.
Time and time again, I keep coming up with things that I have never seen any other researcher do. I created the Apple delivery system. I created the Bigfoot braid decoy to see if they would take the bait and start braiding cloth ribbons. And I've got this thing hung out in the woods. Well, something took 2 of the blue ribbons. Are they drawn to blue? I don't know. They weren't drawn to the white. The white are still there, but 2 of the blue ribbons have been pulled out. So something's working, something's going on, and I just have to keep finding variants of these experiments and to find one that's going to work.
David.
So I will probably be moving the braid decoy over into another area. The first braid decoy was set up at the first pagoda. I think that may be a dead spot. The ranger told me that that's probably 3 or 4 years old. Well, the other one is just a couple months old. The second one that I found is just a couple months old. So I will probably be hanging around there because obviously they're using that. They're knocking down my cairn. So there's still activity there.
David, I would like to ask you a couple questions. Okay. First off, let's say hypothetically that this is accurate, that Bigfoot are between 6 and 10 feet tall, 500 to 800 pounds. How would you deal with that if they made their presence known? I mean, that's an enormous creature. What do you think you would do? Because, I mean, I know that you're aware of the sound and the subsonic frequency. Have you considered that? Have you, imagined that? What would you do?
Oh yeah, I think about it all the time, and I hope that I am comfortable enough now with all of the stories and all of my research to stay in my right mind and not freak out unless they use the subsonic frequencies. At that point, you're done. I mean, you totally succumb to those frequencies. I did. I felt it, and I was petrified.
Mm-hmm.
But in my heart, I wasn't afraid. I was still in that search mode, keep going.
Mm-hmm.
But those frequencies just blasted my brain, and I wanted to get out of there. And I had to shake myself. So unless they do that, I think I'm going to be okay. It's strange to be 5'8" and think about seeing something almost twice as tall as you, looking down on you. And also keep in mind that other reports have them as tall as 12 to 15 feet tall. The forest giants in California have been described as 15 feet tall. So that's a big old critter. And you just hope that can keep your head about you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I've got. I mean, that's all just my belief that I know enough and I've researched enough that I think I can stay in my tracks without turning tail.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But you never know until it happens. And that's the question. What are you going to do?
Do you have your own name for it? I mean, I use the name Bigfoot, obviously. I know that the Native American have other names, Sasquatch. Do you tend to use the term Bigfoot?
More times than not, I will use Bigfoot. And I will use that as singular and plural. It's like the word deer. Bigfoot is and Bigfoot are. Sometimes I really do believe that at some point we have to come up with a better name, because Bigfoot is so ingrained in our society now as almost a joke. We really have to create. Sasquatch is a little bit better, less recognizable sometimes, but I think we need to come up with a lot of times I'll use forest folk or manimal. But more times than not, I will use some Bigfoot to describe the many variants of these creatures.
Well,
Yeah, come up, let's use it. I don't know.
I'm losing you a little bit. Like, it sounds like a little bit more muffled. Well, I'm really grateful that you joined us today, and you almost a whole hour you gave us, and I appreciate that. And I'm sorry for the delay today. We can find you. I know you're not really a social media person, but if anyone would like to reach David Eller in Nashville, Tennessee, you can. I don't want to just randomly put up your email or anything like that. But if someone legitimately comes through and wants to talk to you or has information, you're working on this book, and I know you were talking to. So I'm losing. Oh, there you are. You also have something connected to. Are you talking to any producers for reality TV, or are you doing anything like that? Because you seem like someone who belongs on reality TV.
Yeah, I have talked to a few people, and some of them seem interested, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
We'll see how that goes.
But also, if any of your viewers have stories about sightings or anything unusual, I do investigations. I have a group called Pursue, Paranormal Unit for the Research and Study of Unexplained Events. And I hear about something, I'll go investigate. And one of the best ones I ever did was in Kentucky, where something came through, killed 3 horses, 2 dogs, frightened one so badly it would not get out of its doghouse. Then it went across into another field and killed a cat. This thing yanked on this one big dog's back leg so hard that it popped its neck to its collar and threw it down into a ravine. So that's the kind of stuff I investigate. Got something interesting,
Okay. Well, I'm so grateful that you joined us today and shared with us, and I hope you come back and and maybe by the end of the summer you'll have even more information. And thank you so much, and keep us informed on what's going on with Bigfoot.
Yeah, I will. Thanks for having me, and just call me anytime and let me know you want me on, and I'll be there.
Oh, thank you so much, David. Let's text after, and thank you so much. I'll send you a link to the stream.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Okay, bye. It's so strange how just when I was thinking, I don't want to take up any more time of his, it was almost an hour, and then all of a sudden, did you hear? Like, we couldn't even hear him. Your left hand needs a rest. Tell me about it. I'm always trying to lift weights. Wow. So what did you guys think? It was interesting. It's so funny because I'm hearing information. I have another Bigfoot expert coming on at the end of, I guess maybe it's the first week of August. I don't even know what day we're on. And he actually does the encounter weekends, but David's strong. But I'm still gaining more information. You know, he is talking about, which I've suspected, about the portals and time and space, like UAPs, but obviously I don't know if any of this will ever be proven because you can't see it. It's just, you have to have this utter faith that it's happening, right? But David is very, very enthusiastic about what he does, and he does and has been investigating supernatural events and Bigfoot, like he said, for many years, and I stumbled upon him, and he's very serious about it. So, moving on, I appreciate everyone staying for this, Master LF Slave, and anyone else, and I'd like to move on to some other topics if you'd like to stick around. Thank you, David. Yes, K. Day Floyd. Thank you so much for everyone joining us. Now, you know, before we go about Bigfoot, if you want to hang on, and I just realized I didn't talk about this, but I did look up some encounters, some recent encounters, and some not so recent encounters, if you would like to hear from the BFRO site. Now, if you don't want to hear it, you can come back. I'm doing a visualization in a few minutes, and then I'm going to talk on subjects like light language, channeling, symbols of good luck. But I should touch on this quickly. I hate to stay on Bigfoot for so long. I know people go a little crazy because I get too intense on one subject. Maybe I should come back to this. That's what I'll do. What do you think? Is that a good idea? Does anyone have a perspective on this? Anyone have a perspective? Okay, so light language. Let's go on to that, and then I'll get back to some Bigfoot encounters. Because I'm obsessed with what light language is, because I'm currently feeling as though I'm having a spiritual awakening. It's taking me to another level, a higher frequency and higher vibration, and that comes after you've cleared away negativity and you've connected to compassion within yourself and you've set your boundaries. And I stumbled on this because I was talking about aliens, and then I had some friends who were talking about starseeds, the Andromedans, the Palladians, and I heard about light language. So light language is an ancient futuristic form of communication used for lifetimes that resonates with and connects with the soul rather than the logical mind, attached to the comprehension through a specific perception. Now, I watched a video, and I'm going to put it on if I can find it. This woman does these words, and they're not words that we know. It's like sounds together. And I'm wondering if it will resonate with you and it will bring you somewhere else. And I don't know, you know, it's new to me, so it's up for interpretation. So light language is a channeled cosmic language that distributes sound and energy to convey messages. It's interpreted by the heart, and it speaks familiarity to the soul rather than to your programmed hearing and brain. So I'm going to play some for you, and you tell me what you think. It's, let's see if I can pull it up, and you can tell me what you think. If I have it here, it was under videos. So I found this video, and it sounded really beautiful to me. Oh, here it is. Okay, so this woman, I'm going to play it, turn it up when she comes on, and let's see. And it's under the site, What is Light Language? She has 78,000 views. It was 2 years ago. So let's see.
Thank you for tuning in. So I was feeling really called to just record myself transmitting some light codes, how you feel within your body. Just
and
observe what comes to me.
Here we go. This woman, she'll start in about 1 second and you'll hear this. I think a few days ago you streamed Light Language was awesome. Thank you. Here she is. I'm going to hold her up.
Thank you for tuning in. It feels like such therapy to translate.
Okay, so it says that there's no direct word or word translation for light language. It is a compilation of energy that is digested quantumly within. It is about how the transmission makes you feel rather than how you think about the information or sound coming through. And so I listened to her, and she said that basically you go into a quiet space, meditative space, and you ask to be connected to your inner core, and you ask for light language to come through, and it comes through you in sound. Now, I don't know if these sounds are basically sounds she's made up. There's no direct word or word translation for light language. It is a okay, I said that. The purpose of light language is to shift your energy to a higher octave. You can feel this when tuning in. As your energy rises through your senses, your brain is triggered into a gamma state where you become receptive and let go control of your senses, therefore allowing your frequency to shift and expand your mental, emotional, and spiritual capacity. It's like whatever's coming through sound-wise, you just express it. Light language is expressed through many different forms of translation: beats, physical pulses, physical movement, and channeled audible vocals, and even written symbols. So you can try it, investigate it yourself, and see if you find anything else, because I am interested in ascension. So ascension, it's different form of spiritual growth, which is about tuning into the spiritual realms beyond the physical, where ascension is about consciously choosing to evolve, and by becoming more love and more light, filled by the moving into a higher vibrational dimension. And it's about accepting who you are. It's about coming into light and love and being all heart. It's not about thinking, it's about being all heart. And a higher vibration is about compassion and love. In other words, negative energy, negative thoughts, words, and actions do not resonate with you if you are ascending to the grand awakening. that's where I'm headed, the Grand Awakening. Join me in the Grand Awakening. And I've also been talking about light on the horizon. And so lately, you know, I kind of go off in, like, I'll be doing something or going somewhere. Today I was taking a train to New York, in and out. And for split seconds, I go into this other place, which is in my third eye. And because I meditated for a long time and I've done many visualizations and I worked as a healer, I go into this place and it's I guess it's Astral Travel, and I do it even with my eyes open. So like right now, I'll go into a space right now for you. And so if I think of light on the horizon, so I go into that space. And let's see if I can do it when I'm looking into the camera. I probably can. I have to look away because then I can concentrate more. But what do I see? So I see this light on the horizon, and it's beautiful and glistening. And when I see this, it brings so much joy into my heart. And it's a reminder of divine intervention. It's a reminder of a higher power and how we're all connected and how there's beauty in the world, and it gives me hope, and it helps me to connect more with myself and more with love and compassion and light. Is it angelic? Probably. Is it otherworldly? Probably. And when I connect to this light and I see this beautiful glowing light that's out on the horizon and there's waves coming in, it's usually a beach scene. So that's what resonates with me. I don't know what resonates with you. I don't know if it's a nature scene like a wooded area, if it's a forest, if it's a waterfall. But this is what brings me my light. You might have something completely different. And I hope and I believe that you can too find your own light. And you can find your own light by going into nature, or maybe tuning in and connecting to your heart. So going into your heart and saying, hello, hello, hello. And maybe it's your inner child. Maybe it is just having peace. So if you close your eyes and you breathe out, anything that's bothering you and anything before this moment. So I'm asking you to activate living in the presence. Living right here in the moment. So let's do that together right now. Let's activate this moment and let's connect to our inner spirit, the beautiful glowing light that's in our heart. And what do you see? Ask yourself, do I need to release anything negative? How can I find my joy? I want to have peace in my heart. I'm someone who has to have peace in my heart because everything is easier. Light brings me beauty and a knowing that not even tomorrow is going to be a better day. This after this moment can be better. And I'm telling you that you have that in you too. And so when I see the light on the horizon, I see so much goodness and hope that I know that everything that I want in abundance will come to me. And all my goals, I say to you, write down 5 humongous goals. And if you can clear yourself and you can have your own light on the horizon, you can have those goals. And I'm not saying it's going to be today, but it will be sooner than it would be without making up the list. So make up the list. Okay. Now I say a channeler is a person because I guess I'm channeling and I'm realizing that I'm a channeler of some kind. I've had angelic channelers on, and I've had, you know, my friend Peter Hansen, I had Jilly, and they're angelic channelers. But I guess that I'm a channeler in my own way because I'm trying to channel light, right? And I'm trying to spread it out into the world and share it with you. And maybe just on this show, this Twitch TV show, maybe one person today will say, oh, I got a little bit of light from Mary, and that will take them till tomorrow. So with being a channeler is a person who conveys thoughts of energy from a source believed to be outside the person's body or conscious mind, an interpreter. They allow themselves to sense the nonverbal communication from another being then. Now, about angels, right here. So angels come within a higher consciousness, and 81% believe in angels. 77% of Americans believe in angels. I don't know if you knew that. Now, as a healer, because I've worked as a healer, I've made suggestions to undergo transformation. The other stream on Monday, I had someone come through on the chat, and he spoke about some difficulties, or she, I don't know if it was he or she, was having some troubles, and so I gave suggestions. So I'm just going to give a couple of quick suggestions, then I'm going to talk about some symbols of good luck, and then I'm going to get back to some encounters with Bigfoot and a visualization. Now, as a healer, I suggest, and I'll bring up something for you to look at, because you know that I'm always into that. And if you have any questions, please ask, because I'm always here for questions. So as a healer, I know that we can all undergo some kind of transformation. And some of us want the transformation more than others. So here are some questions you can pose yourself, ask yourself, and, write it down or just ponder it a bit. All right, here we go. What is your personal truth? I'm just going to reel them off, and then you can write them down. What are some characteristics of self? And here's some suggestions to ascend to a higher consciousness. Have a higher frequency. Higher frequency means that your energy that you're giving off. So if you were to come into a room, people would look at you or connect to you, and either they would connect to you because you had a higher vibration, or they would connect to you because you had a lower vibration. A lower vibration tends to be more negative emotions, like if you're in a state of sadness or fear or anger. That's a lower vibration. So like attracts like. So you will attract someone with the same characteristics. A lower vibration, like they will also be angry, they will also be sad, they will also be fearful. Now if you have a higher vibration, you will attract other people like healer types, people that have more light and compassion in their soul. So someone who embodies goodness and compassion. What are you striving for? Let's keep human characteristics present. And what does that mean? Let's ask ourselves, why do we have certain characteristics that are looming within us? Like, are we constantly sad? Are we constantly happy? That's good. Are we constantly feeling alone? Ask yourself why. This is all to transform. This will trigger something. Love yourself. Love yourself. So accept yourself for everything. None of us are perfect. We're all imperfect. That's what makes us human. So love yourself. That will help transform yourself. You can't love other people till you love yourself. Self-worth. Know that you're worthy. Know that you're worthy of love and hope and beauty and goodness and opportunities. And if you feel that you have low self-worth, it comes from someone in your life has told you that you're not worthy, but you are. I'm telling you, you are worthy. You're worthy of love, and you're worthy of good things. Release negativity. Let go. Hi, what is it you want? What if you know your trigger, but also know that you will Hi, what if you know your trigger, but also know you will transform something not good. I'm a little confused by that question. Okay, we'll break it down. What if you know your trigger, but also know you will transform? You can know your trigger and you can transform, because we all have shadow characteristics. It's very hard, and that's what the ascension is about. It's about being all in all the time and letting go of triggers. So triggers are usually from the past. Something happened to you in your life, and when you encounter it again and again, and sometimes years will go by, or weeks or months or days, and it won't hit you, and then something will trigger you again. And I know that because I have something that triggers me from something traumatic that happened to me. And so it's about getting through whatever it is. So the fear of the trigger is worse than actually the trigger. You have to let go of fear and just get through it. And each time you get through it, it will lessen. You can get through your past, because the fact that you're talking about it and is an indication that you are willing to conquer it. And good prevails over evil, and good conquers evil. And if you're striving to be a higher frequency, ascend to a higher consciousness, good will prevail. I believe that. Kaywa. Kaywa, I'm so glad that you're back. What else? So set personal boundaries is always good, and having compassion for others. So releasing your past is key in moving to a higher vibration. Sorry, my English. It's okay. Look, I'm English and I'm American, and my English isn't always the best because, like I said, I had a speech impediment and I had a near-death experience, and so I had to take speech for 3, 4, 5 years, and I still do speech exercises. Oh, German. Good for you. Well, thanks for joining us, Kayla, today. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to have 66 days to inner peace and personal serenity and finding your truest self. Setting boundaries, compassion for yourself and others, connecting to the love, the beautiful glowing light that's in your heart, looking out onto the horizon and seeing the light that's inside of you and outside of you in nature. Okay, I wanted to touch on some symbols of good luck. And here's a little diagram and some photos of some good luck symbols around the world. Elephants are known to be good luck. Horseshoes, 4-leaf clovers, keys, shooting stars, rainbows, the number 7. I suggest research on ancient Greek culture philosophy if we were talking for consciousness. Okay. Okay, sounds like a plan. I'll look into that. Thanks, Master LF Slave. The number 7, the number 8, bamboo, a barn star, a gift from me because you deserve it. Thank you. I need gifts. I believe I have so many gifts already in my life. I'm very, very lucky. A Buddhist monk passing by is known to be good luck. A flock of birds flying from right to left, a shamrock, jade, a dream catcher, ladybugs. So as you can see, coins. I know angels are good luck and rainbows are good luck. Okay, I think I'll do a visualization. In India, they have really weird luck symbols. Really? I don't know what luck symbols, like what? Like what? Like what's a luck symbol? Oh. Ooh. Yeah, that's not so good. Let's do a visualization, and then we will talk about, for a minute, some Bigfoot reports that I found, since we had a Bigfoot expert today, an investigator who spoke of stick structures, and you can watch this stream for the next 2 weeks, and then I upload it to my Mary Official, my YouTube, and you can see clips on my Instagram and my Facebook. Let's do a quick visualization, and then I will mention some Bigfoot encounters that are in the USA. We will create vivid mental images in the mind's eye, bringing positive emotions such as joy, happiness, and hope. Blessings. Our intention today is to clear away negative thoughts with a ball of glowing light. Let's realize connecting your mind, body, spirit to divine light will shed darkness in yourself and unblock your true purpose and potential. Your ball of glowing light visualization begins now. Please find a quiet space, sit or lay down comfortably. Close your eyes. And let's release anything before this moment. Let's inhale and exhale 3 times together deeply. And let out a sigh. If you need to say some words to let go, let's let go of any thoughts before this moment. Release anything that's bothering you, causing you any stress. So we've let go from the top of our head, our crown chakra, to the tip of our toes, our body, any stress that we're carrying within ourselves. So our intention today is to release negative emotions preventing us from our own personal happiness. So I'd like you to imagine a beautiful glowing light in the distance, a ball of light, and its sparks of light are coming off of this ball. And the ball of light is bold and powerful and full of energy. And as the ball of glowing light travels to you, all past nuances that are bothering you, you're letting go. And you can see this ball of light coming towards you. And you're breathing out. And it's departing your system. And you sense that it is positive and necessary to enter your life for you to grow and achieve your goals. The ball of light covers your body. And you feel it protects you. And you feel safe and warm and secure. No one may harm you. And the glowing, powerful ball of light reaches beyond your head and below your feet. It is powerful, and it slowly diminishes old thoughts that have been bothering you, and you allow this to engage with your being. And all the past mindsets that you've had, you've let go. You let them out. You let a sigh out. And this light surrounds your whole entire body. And you feel it touching every cell in your body. This beautiful, glowing light. This illuminating light fills your flesh, your bones, your organs. And you give permission to this beautiful glowing light to fill your cells with positive light and energy. You breathe out any pain and anger and sadness and any fear that you've been holding on to. You speak out any negative words that you need to. And now you have more room for love, more room for compassion, more room for forgiveness. and more room for abundance in your life, and your heart grows bigger, and you have a new awareness of calm and peace, and you surrender to this. I'd like you to stay in this moment so you remember what it's like. And I will count backwards to 3, and you will open your eyes. 3, 2, 1. Thank you for joining us. Visualizations help you to connect more to stillness and peace that's in your heart and your being. And after you do a visualization, if you do a few of them, you will realize that when you're in life outside of these moments, everything will be easier. Everything will flow more. You will connect to nature more. Now, in the universe, there's an unseen flow of energy. And when you understand that we're all connected, so my peace is your peace. And when I have more peace and I'm sharing it with you, you will have more peace. And if you have hurt, I have hurt. And as you know, there's a lot of anger and negative emotions coming out into the world right now. And that's for many reasons. And that's an upheaval. And then that will clear and everyone will be at more peace. When this is over in the world, we will be at peace. And something else will come into the world to take its place. But right now there's a lot of upheaval. That doesn't mean that you have to be there. I'm sharing with you as a healer ways to bring more peace into your system and release any negativity that you have in a much less complicated way, and in a way so that it doesn't hurt others. I don't believe that when you release things from your past, you need to engage with others and hurt others. You can do it on your own and find your own way. What did I wanted to talk about Bigfoot again for a second. So I went onto the BFRO website. If anyone knows anything about Bigfoot, they know, and this is the most famous. So I'm gonna read to you some of these encounters that people have had, and I find this very interesting because, you know, I enjoy hearing stories of Bigfoot. Now this happened, this was submitted by a witness March 8th, 2020. It's considered a Class A encounter with Bigfoot. And this was in the summer, August 6th. It was in New York. So I'm from New York, so I thought, let me find some encounters with Bigfoot that have happened in New York State. This happened in Essex County at a lake, and approximately 8:30 in the morning, Cascade Lakes. And I've thought about heading up to the Lake Placid or the Adirondacks because I know that there's encounters up there. So I thought, let me read some and find some encounters. And it says, I spent most of the summers camping in and around the Adirondacks. This particular summer, I had stopped at Cascade Lake to spend a few days camping. I had slept soundly the previous night and had awoken around 7 a.m. I decided to get up and start making my breakfast and had just started the kettle on the camp stove when I looked over, and at the upper Cascade Lake, I could see the mist rising off the surface of the lake. I grabbed my iPhone and walked about 50 yards to the edge of the lake to get a picture. As I approached the break wall, I noticed a dark brown object on the opposite side of the lake at the shore. At first, I couldn't make out what it was. It seemed to be sitting at the water's edge, and then I realized that it must be a bear. The animal looked like it was doing something in the water, and as its paws, I could hear a faint splashing sound. I thought that it would be a good idea to get a picture, so I brought my iPhone up to my face level and tried to focus on the animal. As I was focusing, the animal stood up on its two legs. I was startled and pulled down my phone to see this with my own eyes. It took a step towards the tree line and stopped. Almost methodically, as I stopped, it turned its whole body to the left and stared at me for a couple of seconds. It turned back and in one step disappeared into the tree line. I immediately went cold and got scared. Oh, I would be so scared. Oh my gosh. As I ran back to the campsite, my only thought was that I was going to go left or right. And as I went right, it would have to go into the water. And as I went left, I was headed directly to the campsite. I decided that it was best to get the hell out of Dodge, so to speak. I arrived back at the campsite, and under a minute, my dog was still asleep. Here I said dog like New York, dog. My dog was still asleep on the front seat, and I didn't stir at all. I opened the passenger side sliding door of my van and started to throw all my camping gear back into the van, and making quite a mess inside as I did. I closed the door and then jumped into the driver's seat and floored the gas to leave. As I was driving out, I kept looking out my left driver's side window to see if I could observe it again, but I saw nothing. I drove all the way into Lake Placid and parked at the mall parking lot to gather my thoughts and think about what had just taken place. I was pretty shooken up, and as I kept replaying the experience over and over in my head, trying to make sense of what I had seen. Wow. I would have left too. So observations. I could not ascertain its height exactly because of the distance, but I would guess that it was approximately 7 to 8 feet tall, and it was covered head to toe in a shaggy dark brown hair or fur. I could see in the sunlight shining off its back as I turned to go. Wow. A Bigfoot encounter. Now, when it turned to stare at me, I could not make out any facial features, but I know that it saw me. The upper body was massive and stocky, like a football player build. It had very long arms that went from well below the waist, and I could also make out that what I assumed were the shape of its hands. It walked upright and paused before slowly turning the upper body to look directly at me. It stared at me for approximately 5 to 10 seconds and turned back to face the tree line. It took 1 to 2 steps and disappeared into the forest. I could see a couple of branches move after it went into the trees, and then I decided to leave. I did not return to the area. Nothing. Okay. There was no other witnesses. Well, that's interesting, wasn't it? Let's see. Here's another one. So another report was a Class B incident. And this was at a campground. 2 deer chased into a pond, terrified, swam to the other side and ran away, crashing and snapping trees in the woods. A few months later, he heard footfalls near his vehicle, and then something was pounding on the garbage container at 12 a.m. Camping neighbors reported rock clanking noises. Interesting. Well, okay, I have a little poem that I wrote, and I'm going to say it. So it's called Butterflies, Sunshine, and Angels. Light reaches out of me if I forget. Light finds me in my dreams, a song, walking through nature. In other words, sometimes I too have moments where I feel like, can I keep going on? You know, things can be really difficult, and light finds me, and light reminds me that there's hope, and we have beauty inside of us, and there's beauty in the world. And if you're having times where you feel as though you're overwhelmed, Do a visualization. Spend time in nature. Connect with a light source. Spend time in relationships and engaging with others. When you isolate yourself too much or you're alone too much, it's not good for you. Spend time with others and have compassion and forgiveness and self-love and self-worth. Thank you for joining me. Everything you say, think, and do designs your future. Fear, negative thoughts will become darkness in your life, attracting unhappiness in people, relationships, and career. Let's create only positive thoughts. In honor of my Scottish grandmother, Lucille, Lang me your lam reek, which means I wish you good luck and good fortune in the future. You can find me on maryamyofficial.com, my Instagram, my Facebook, and my YouTube channel. Be well, and a reminder that on Monday I have guest shamanic healer. I have her book here, I think, or maybe not. I don't think I brought it over. Well, I have a healer on Monday. You can join me, and it's at 2 o'clock. Be well. Thank you for joining us. Bye.